I'd like to call to order the Landmarks Commission meeting for July 22nd, 2024. Time is currently 7:01 p.m. Roll call, please.
Roll call, Linda Bovee.
Here.
Dr. Scott Kelly.
Here.
Roger White.
Here.
Rich Dowdy here. David Craycraft.
Here.
P. Lynch.
Here. I'd like to make a motion that we excuse Whit Wardell.
I'll second.
Roll call, P. Lynch.
Yes.
David Craycraft.
Yes.
Rich Dowdy, yes. Roger White.
Yes.
Dr. Scott Kelly.
Yes.
Linda Bovee.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the June 24th, 2024 Landmarks Commission meeting minutes.
I will second. Actually, I was not here. I cannot second that.
Can I get a
second.
second?
Also.
Roll call, P. Lynch.
Yes.
Rich Dowdy abstain. Dave Craycraft.
Yes.
Roger White.
Yes.
Dr. Scott Kelly.
Abstain.
Linda Bovee.
Yes.
The first application on tonight's agenda is CA 24-034. The property address is 70 East Columbus Street. The request this evening is for a new front entry roof feature. Up on the screen is a photograph of the front of the home. This covered entry feature is what the applicant is requesting to be replaced this evening. The applicant has noted that it has rotted framing and decking. Also, the shingles are at the end of their life, so they are looking to replace it with a new structure that matches what they have on the rear entry and the detached garage. Both of those, including the detached garage, have a corrugated metal green roof. Applicant's here to answer any questions you guys have for him.
Is the applicant present? Would you mind stepping up to the podium, please? Sign in for us, thank you.
Thank you. Just a little bit of background, we have been having some repairs done around the house on the framing and the trim. And when the guy started to look at the front, he found that it was rotted. And you really don't pay attention to it. I mean, you walk in, walk out, and that's it. However, that was to have been replaced when the garage was done and the two awnings, or not two awnings, but the two entries on the rear, the one on the house and the one on the detached structure, along with the shed. Those were all to have been the corrugated standing seam roofing. We can't figure out how it got missed. We really don't. They did the garage. This was all done and approved in 2005. That's all been done since then, but it's something we just never paid any attention to till now. And it's like, we didn't realize the extent of the rotting that we have on there.
Are they having to rebuild the structure?
At this point, possibly, he's not quite sure because we didn't have him tear anything out. I didn't want anything torn out until I had a chance to meet with you folks.
So I guess if the framing was replaced, it would have to be like for like.
Sure.
Unless it was totally different, then you'd have to come back and.
Everything will be the same dimensions.
Okay.
No
And the same
change in-
material?
Pardon?
Same material too?
Yes.
All wood?
Yes.
Is the roof on the porch going to be replaced too, or just the awnings?
Well, no, the roof on the porch in the house, we're discussing that now. We've had a couple roofers out because we thought perhaps we might want to take a look at standing seam on the house too. But we found out at $2,500 a square, roofing square, that could end up being about $55,000 or $60,000. So we're not sure where that's going to end up. But that would be replaced at the same time as the roof on the house.
Andrew, this came before in 2005? Did I hear that correctly?
Pardon?
You brought this before the commission in 2005?
Oh, yeah, it was because what we did was he doubled the size of the garage.
Yeah, it looks like May of 2004 was the exact date of the approval.
Was it? Because I think the certificate of occupancy was 2005, if I'm not mistaken.
What was approved back in 2004?
The addition to the garage
Okay.
that added the metal roof to it.
So there was nothing about this roof entry over the front at that time?
I couldn't find any information for it. The only thing in the file was just the plans for the garage and the certificate of appropriateness for its construction.
We did have, though, the other two, the two entries on the rear, the attached roof, or the roof on the attached shed, and the front, but like I say, for some reason, we just lost track of everything.
And are we talking both of those canopy things? The one on?
No, just the
the
circle
one
one.
circle? Just the circle.
Yeah, just the
What's the
circle
one
one.
to the left of that? What is that?
That's an awning.
Is that, oh, it's like a cloth awning? Okay,
Yeah, it's a canvas awning.
okay.
So the metal roof will be green?
Yes.
To match the
Yes,
garage?
yes. And that's what we had intended, like I say, in the first place, was to have them all match.
Does the garage panels have exposed fasteners?
Yes.
That's what I was just thinking, I can't think of where we've approved an exposed fastener on the front facade.
That's what I was
Or
thinking.
anything visible.
Yeah.
In fact, some have been torn off for that same reason. Have you checked to see with your roofer if you can get this same material in an actual standing seam for that small section of roof?
I'm sorry, run that by me again?
Same color, same material?
Yeah, oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
sometimes you can get the same color in a true standing seam for, it looks like about the size of a sheet of plywood.
Yeah, the same color's available. I mean, it's pretty much a standard.
But he's asking in a true standing seam,
But you won't see any
because we don't
fasteners.
normally approve the fasteners where they're visible.
True standing seam, if that's, the recommendation, that's not a problem.
Okay.
Okay? I mean, the roofs aren't that close that you're going to say, oh, that's got to expose, and oh, that doesn't.
And what, are those shingles, it looks like they're pretty worn at this point, but were they black or gray?
They're green.
They're green. They're actually green. On the house, they're actually green?
It's called roof mold. Believe me, if you look at the back of the house, the roof looks like it's totally black. It's the mildew.
So if you were to replace it, I guess my concern is that the choppiness of, replacing the upper with asphalt and then having this, especially if it was a screw down. You think you would replace it with a light color, the
Mhm.
asphalt,
Mhm.
something in that same shade?
Again, like I say, we were talking possibly about standing seam, but we're leaning more toward the asphalt.
I'm just thinking the green that's shown in the picture, like where it says the rear entry. I mean, I
Mhm.
think it's going to stand out.
I agree.
We're just thinking something that might more blend in. Not that it has to match the green on the roof.
Is this something that you're trying to have done in the next 30 days, or if we were to try to get some more information and maybe bring that back?
Well, we'd like to get it approved and done, yeah. I mean, like I say, it's really, we're not replacing or doing anything else to the other roofs yet.
Right, I just looking at kind of what Dave said about the pitch of the roof. It's almost like looking at a flat surface, so the green, I think, is really going to stand out in the front.
The pitch of what,
The pitch of that.
Canopy?
Yeah.
It makes
the
it,
canopy.
makes it pretty.
It's a 512.
Yeah, it's pretty steep for a standard entry.
But
It becomes
again,
looks more like a flat surface.
Yeah.
Rather than not seeing much of a.
right, but it is a 512, and it's been on the house since we purchased
Sure, I
it.
understand.
Is the awning green?
It's green with kind of like not red, but a burgundy stripes.
I'm just wondering if there's a green that's more muted versus the bright green that you typically would see on a roof. Just something more tame in color.
It's also adding in another element.
Well, yeah.
My personal opinion, I think if we could do a non-exposed fastener standing seam and match the color, if that's what you want to do, I think that'd be okay.
That's fine.
Yeah.
might stand.
Yeah, I'd like to say, it's probably easier to get the non-exposed fastener than it is to get. They're both expensive, believe me.
I know DMI out of Reynoldsburg, they'll do a color match for you.
Yeah.
Try to get the color right. That's my take on it.
I agree.
Anyone have any further? So if that's our recommendation, sound good to you?
Pardon?
That's our recommendation to you,
What's that?
to do a true standing seam on the front.
Okay, that's no problem. So am I good to go?
Well, we'll have to make a motion here.
Okay.
Would anyone like to make that motion?
I'll make a motion to approve certificate, or application CA-24-034, with the exception that the roof will be a true standing seam roof and no exposed fasteners.
Got it.
I'll
And-
second.
And the color to match the rear.
Yeah, and the
Got
color
it.
to match the garage roof.
Thank
Is
you.
that you, Dr. Kelly?
Yep.
Roll call, Linda Bovee,
Yes.
Dr. Scott Kelly,
Yes.
Roger White,
Yes.
David Kirkcraft.
Yes.
Rich Dobley, yes. Pete Lynch.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next application, CA 24035 for address of 37 West Waterloo Street. The request this evening is for a new 16-foot by 38-foot pavilion to cover the front patio of the current building. Up on the screen, a photograph here of Loose Rail Brewing Company. This industrial building, just for some quick frame of reference, was constructed in the early 1900s as the electric generation facility for the Scioto Valley traction line that ran from 1904 through 1930. The applicant converted this building into Loose Rail Brewing in 2016, including the front patio you can see on the Google Street View that was snapped for conversation this evening. The applicant is looking for approval to cover a majority of that patio with a pavilion. These are documents are provided by the applicant's designer here. You can see again the photograph of the front of the building, examples of what the pavilion would look like underneath. This existing patio does have a encroachment into the public right-of-way, which kind of limits the depth of the pavilion. So rather than covering the full depth, encroaching the public right-of-way, it's being held back to about 15 feet off of the face of the building. Looking at kind of a profile view here, a plan view, you can see the structure for that pavilion. The image here has been reversed from the aerial, so on the north, or the top of my screen here, is the front of the building. The bottom of the screen is the street for frame of reference. You can see that the plans show a series of posts that will be spread throughout the patio space. The structure itself will be not physically attached to the building structurally, but will be flashed to the front of the building. The plans note that the framing here is 4-inch square aluminum. I believe that's for the posts and all of the beam work as well. Looking at a front view here, you can see that the proposed cover, again, covers majority of the front of the patio. Again, more information here on the placement. This is only showing 4 of the posts, but again, if you reference the plan view document, you can see there's kind of 3 in line along the perimeter, 1 in the middle, and then 1 on either side of that front door for a series of posts. Looking at the side view here, you can see again the pitch. The depth here is shown at 16 foot at the slant. The plans incorporate a gutter along the front edge of the pavilion that leads down to a splash block at grade. This side of the building has the access ramp tight against the building for frame of reference. The plans show here to the highest beams at 10 foot 9 inches. From the slab to the lowest beam is at 9 foot 8 inches. Staff had asked the applicant to also provide photographs of what this system looks like on another commercial structure. So this is a good example here showing you approximate scale of what the system would look like installed. Staff had also asked the applicant to bring a physical sample of what the polycarbonate panel looked like, if that was done this evening, for you guys to see. This system here does provide a semi-translucent panel over the roof for lighting. So this isn't a metal roof, it's a translucent plastic roof that's going on top of the metal framing. So if there's any questions for me, we've got to help answer. Applicant's here to answer any questions you guys have for them as well.
My name is Pete Staccati. I represent Bright Covers or Translucent LLC, and I brought a couple panels for you to see physically, if anyone wants.
Yes,
There, great.
thank you.
Do you mind if I peel this film back a little
No,
bit?
no. So the system is engineered to withstand 120-mile-an-hour winds and the potential for 5 to 6 feet of wet snow. So, anything else, let me
And
know.
this is very similar to what it's going to look like.
Correct. And those angle brackets that you see are gussets, very similar.
How does this product hold up with algae and?
Basically, we pitch it a minimum of 1 inch per foot. That's what the manufacturers specify, but we can go like 1.5 inches per foot.
What is the pitch proposed here?
I believe it's 1 inch per foot on the drawing. I actually don't know much about this project, actually. I know the product, but I don't know this.
That's about as shallow as we can go. I think.
The sample they have is clear, not tinted.
How quickly will this yellow?
It doesn't.
So is that the clear sample versus,
We call it white. It's not clear, but
okay.
So this is the gray.
Yeah, they're going with the gray.
this is the gray that they're getting. Kind of have a pin, it kind of has a pinstripe to the rib.
Will there be a downspout on each end?
Yes, I believe so.
And will the downspout tie into an underground system to go out to
The
ground?
homeowner or the owner could do that. It can. Were you tying in?
Currently, there's not.
I mean, I'm just thinking, if it does rain, the water coming across the sidewalk.
Correct. So
Especially-
currently, we have on both sides of the building, it tied in to the stormwater drains. But I guess we'd have to find them
Okay.
and see where they're at. And I'm not opposed to that. Like, that was one of the questions that the city brought up was, where's the water going to go?
Okay.
And, yeah, I mean, we could probably definitely do that. We just have to find
Is
it.
that more of a building code thing to distribute roof water?
Probably with the city, but I do think it's a valid point to bring up because it's
Could be a lot of water.
Are these panels
definitely going to be a lot.
capped at each end?
Correct. So the frame actually locks in, they're 2-foot panels, and they're locked in with a metal T-bar, we call it, that goes, the ribbing in between. You can see those ribs every 2 feet. So they're taped so insects don't get in them.
Right.
But they're clear so the water can run.
I guess that's where I was going, that we would have debris, I'm just looking through this right now, and there's lots of dust and dirt in there already.
That's been sitting in a warehouse, right. But the ends are taped before we install them. Water's allowed to get through, go through that, but no debris can get into the panel. And they're heavy enough to actually stand on them. You can stand on these panels, we actually stand on them as we install them, so they can support.
So they can be stood
5 feet
stood
away,
on
5
and
feet.
power washed, they can be power washed and.
You don't really have to power wash it, you could if you had to, but you can basically clean it with some Dawn liquid detergent, light soap and a hose. and clean the panels.
So as I talked to a couple customers of mine about this type of system, that was their one holdback, was that it gets very dirty. and it looks dirty. So as long as this, can be cleaned, this is a pretty visual spot.
I guess where I'm coming from is, I believe I was on Landmarks at the time this was approved, initially to put the patio out there. And we were remarking how we didn't want the front facade of the building to be covered in any way. And this is, of course, covering the architectural features of the building. So I'm coming from it from that standpoint.
On that note, Nathan, can you take a look at this here?
Oh, yeah.
I just drew this up, excuse my quick sketch here, but, being that this is a industrial building rather than most of the commercial buildings that we have around town, I think some sort of industrial element is appropriate. I'm not crazy about the plastic look of these panels. Almost rather see a more solid roof structure, but then that comes back to, like you said, Roger, about the aesthetics and the architectural details. It's a very prominent building, and I'm with you. I hate to see it covered up with anything. So my thoughts on this drawing were, just to kind of show you guys, if you look at the third page of that shows what's being presented, which is, the roof kind of cuts into halfway through the window.
Correct.
Cuts a lot of those off, so my only thought on this is, I don't like how it's proportioned. I feel like it makes it awkward and really busy. But I think if you were gonna put it up at all, either to come inside those windows, which I know doesn't cover probably half your seating out there.
Actually, that's what it is.
What's that?
It's actually cutting the window
Correct, cuts it
in half. Yeah.
So if you look at that cover of what I drew there,
Oh.
when you run that roof line all the way across,
Oh, I
it
see what you mean.
separates the upper and lower windows much more cleanly, I believe, it's my opinion. Kind of the only way that I like it, really. I think otherwise it gets kind of messy and it takes away from the beauty of those windows. You put an awful lot of work in those to get those to look like that. I'm kind of with Roger, putting anything over them is,
Well, the idea was to cut them in half, basically to follow the framing,
yeah, I
the large
understand.
white framing in the
Yeah,
center.
I just think it gets really busy that way.
Yeah.
Well, your color rendering here,
That's Pete's.
That's
Oh, this
Pete's.
is-
That's
this
mine.
your-
I just did that so you
Oh,
guys
okay, I
understand
thought-
where I
Extends
was
it
coming
out.
from.
Yeah, Pete extended it out.
okay.
Yeah, that extends it, you could go to the sides of the window or even a little further. I think you have a bump out where the gutter is.
Yeah.
So I kind of stopped it at the gutter, and it's definitely not even from the right side to the left. My paper cut it off there, but just kind of wanted you to understand what I meant by
Sure.
extending it. I know you have a picnic table. I think on my page 2 there, I drew in your picnic table, so you can kind of see what he has set up there now. There's a space of seating outside of the patio area that's being used.
Yeah.
Assuming that that's going to stay, extending the roof out, if we were to do that, would allow coverage for that area as well. Did we bring any samples of the steel itself? Is it just powder coated?
Yeah.
Or is it painted like a gloss?
I can go get you a sample.
It's powder coated.
I'd love to see it. Yeah,
Yeah.
please.
I told him if he had to go to his car, I would dance.
What music do you want?
So Pete, the difference on your sketch is that you brought it into the window so you could see some of the window.
I took it past because it's,
It doesn't
I
cut
would
it.
love to see it inside of the windows, but I think it defeats the whole purpose of the cover because half the seating out there are the 2 benches that are perpendicular to the structure.
Okay, so you just extended it.
I did,
farther.
just
Okay.
to kind of make a point. Yeah, I think you could bring it inside as well.
So the photo that you took, I mean, it's kind of, if you look on the right side of the photo that Pete painted, the wood is actually center lined with the center of that window.
Correct,
Yes.
right, but to
So
go
that's what
past
we were
the-
trying to do. We were trying not to go past the patio itself.
I understand that, I just think with what you've created, it breaking in the center of the window makes the whole thing look awkward.
So this would be a T-bar, that would be the bottom of the roof that you'd look at, and this would come over this panel like that.
So underneath, you'd see all this extruded.
That's, right, that's the bottom.
And the frame,
This would be
obviously.
the top, and this would
Tube steel
actually
would be the
be not
same.
the same color, of course, but this would be the beam itself, the whole T-bar.
Is it all kind of,
Perpendicular,
is it all kind of a bronze color?
this is bronze.
Is this
This has been
proposed to be
rolling around
black?
my truck for
Is this
2 years.
proposed to be black or bronze?
That's bronze.
Okay.
Bronze and gray.
I don't know what
Oh, I think it's black, actually.
I think I was thinking.
Yeah, it's the
black,
wrong.
maybe
Yeah.
bronze is
It's
better.
black. This
Black
is the
frame,
bronze.
gray panels.
Correct.
Would the loose rail sign still be where it's at, or would you
That's what we have to figure out where we're going to put that. That was one of the city's concerns. And I haven't came up with a solution yet.
Pete, is your sketch the same
And we passed that.
slope or pitch as what was presented?
Sorry, Dave, can you say that again?
Was your sketch drawn at the same pitch?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at a two-dimensional, this photo that I'll give my wife credit for finding. It's kind of taken dead center, so it pans out on both sides. I mean, it's not as heavy as you know, you look at loose rail, it's got a full black canopy.
Or harvest.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah. And that's what we
Has
were
a
trying to
full
do. We were trying to not go with like solid black. I got a couple quotes for like just a vinyl awning, but it just kind of felt like it would drown out the building itself.
You know, the slope on this page right here, and on this page here, and the slope of what you've done before, this looks a lot, almost like half of what it is.
It's less than a 112, I believe.
And I'm just wondering if it's less pitched, if it wouldn't be as predominant as it was with the
I
bed show.
agree, that's why I asked what it was. If that's the lowest, I think you go with the lowest pitch that you could do, so that you don't see those panels dead on.
Right.
Minimum would be 1 inch. Every cover is different because you're using a house or a building as a host attachment, so every one of these pictures could be a different slope. It's kind of hard to envision.
And then the lighting underneath will be the same that you have now?
Correct.
Okay. Nothing?
Yeah, we can actually attach on to this framing. Yeah,
It'll just be the bare bulbs and the wiring, just like.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nathan, as far as that signage goes, what do you have in mind? Are you thinking about raising it above the 4 windows there?
I am, yeah.
Andrew, is that something that, I know that's not part of this, is that something we could talk about? And if they were to do this, instead of having them come back, because you're going to have to
Yeah.
probably do that before you put this roof up.
Well, I mean, for signage, I can come back. That's fine.
So is the reason for the transparent plastic, is it more to not take away from the structure or the architecture of the building, or is it more for light underneath the patio?
Light underneath and
Trying to avoid the dark
to try to
harvest.
keep it bright, like driving by, like imagine the awning at Harvest,
Yeah.
just all black. Yeah,
I think if it was dark, you would lose, it would shade everything underneath.
Yeah,
You'd
I
lose-
agree.
you'd
Sure.
lose the windows altogether.
Just puts us in a conundrum of this material, we don't want to
Sure.
use, but we want
Like
the-
I said, I think it has a bit of an industrial element where it wouldn't be appropriate on most of the commercial buildings around. I don't even think it would be fitting to Harvest Moon. You know, what's there now, I think it's better fitting, but for this particular building.
Will the fire pit that you have affect these panels?
it will not. The height is too far. So we've had a lot of discussions with the, I guess the chief and the fire inspectors concerning the fire pits. And they kind of pushed off to bright covers, which, did he get you that certificate? No? So the height is, it's not going to be enclosed. So what they were telling us is that, I thought it was in here.
Where it's not attached to the building, it'll vent.
Correct. Yeah.
It's not attached to the building at all, correct?
No.
How far is it from the building?
It's going to be like an inch. So they have to flash it in.
I see.
They're just going to flash, they're going to set it right up against the building and then flash that in.
So it won't vent.
What's that?
If it's flashed, it's not gonna vent.
Not up where it's by the
They're
building.
gonna flash it above where the roof comes in.
Correct.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think that it's getting pretty hot. That's a good question.
And it's-
Actually,
And it's plastic.
I actually didn't.
Oh, go ahead.
I didn't actually hear your question, but your question was heat, right? You can grill underneath these, and you can put space heaters above them, the kind that you would use in a restaurant. Doesn't affect the panels.
Polycarb's really,
I do like Pete's idea of extending it a little bit, even if it just went to the edge of the windows, so it doesn't
Yeah, I kinda took
split
it
that
to-
window.
Yeah, I kinda took it to the max. and I-
Yeah.
To show, I just wanted the clear definition of, separating those arch windows from
Yeah.
below
But
instead
I
of doing
like
it,
that
cutting it in
idea.
half.
Because that's probably, what is that, an extra 3 feet on each side?
It's probably
yeah,
three or
probably
four
3 feet on
past.
each side. The idea was, Andrew, can you go back on your photo? One more. Oh, maybe the beginning. Yeah. So the idea where the picnic table is on the left-hand side, we were actually going to pour that and have a concrete pad. And if we extend it out, because right now the edge of the patio, the seat back for that bench is in center line with the left window. So we were trying to keep it as clean as we could with the existing patio itself. Hey, is that me mowing? It is. Sorry. Rabbit trail.
Yeah, my only thought is that the look from the street and walking by it, it seems to break that window up a little bit to where it'd be nice just having a whole visual of that window is
Sure.
my thought, that's my thought.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's the vertical line being in the
Yeah.
middle that kind of, and then the roof overhangs a little bit past the framework, so it's not totally centered, it pushes out a little bit.
Yeah.
Andrew, I mean, with that scenario, are we encroaching on anything by pushing it out? I can't imagine, but to the side, we're only talking 3 or 4 more feet.
This way, left.
Correct. Left and right.
Yeah, it looks like Nate is 15 feet from the property line on the east and 22 on the west. The issue would be is if it went closer towards the street.
Yeah, no, we're not proposing that,
The
Yeah.
right of way.
yeah.
So what should we do? Just say extend the roof a foot past the,
I would just say just to the edge of the window.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably wanted to just slightly pass, so it doesn't stop right there, but get past the window 8 or 12 inches, I think would be good.
or the.
Can I ask one more question on the, maybe this is on the drawing, the posts coming down, do they come in front of the frame? Your bench frame now, if you're looking at the front, are those posts gonna come down in front of the frame? Or do they
Yes.
Actually, okay.
Yeah.
To the side.
Right here.
Yeah, so what he's pointing at right now, it's actually just to the side of the backrests.
Because you gotta put a whole footing in for that.
Correct.
So it's gonna stick out a few inches.
Yeah.
As tight as you can make it.
Yeah,
Okay.
so then if we extend it out, then it breaks up my thought of putting that pad there to the left, if you're looking at the brewery, for a seating area.
Sure. I think you still put the pad, just the roof's only gonna come out a little bit.
Yeah.
One thing that will help you too is that, having it break right in the middle of the window and that's your seat back, if it is raining, you're gonna get rain still all over that bench. If you stretch it out a little bit.
True.
You're actually gonna cover better.
Yeah.
I wanna
think
bring
it
up-
looks better that way, but, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm going to have Andrew zoom in on one of those windows, see the exposed brick
Yeah.
on each sides of the window. I'm thinking if the 4x4 post is outside those instead of being over them.
Absolutely.
Wait.
You see what I
sh-
mean?
No, show me what you mean. Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so your post
Exposed
isn't jammed up
brick here.
against the sill.
That the post would be like down here.
Yeah, yeah.
Instead of over here.
Okay.
And I don't know what that dimension is.
I'd say at least a foot is gonna be okay, anything in that range.
Yeah.
We'd be happy to sell you a bigger cover.
I just think, I think all of us here agree that nothing in front of this would be better, but I understand what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And again, only because this building has a full industrial history, do I feel that this kind of industrial addition is appropriate. Still not crazy about the panels, but I don't know. I'm not sure what else you would do and still allow the light to come through. If it was
Yeah.
dark, then you would lose all the
Yeah.
aesthetic details.
Something translucent.
It's gonna be plastic regardless.
Does anyone have any further questions?
How about this pitch? The
So it's-
minimum, you said you could go 112?
It's 3 foot on 16 feet.
Yeah, so you could go a little less. I think
Yeah.
I'd like to see it as less of a pitch as possible.
If you can go back, Andrew, to no, yeah, right there. So the height, the far left is 12.8, the far right is 9.8. So that's well, it's not exactly. So it's just about 3 foot from top to bottom.
Yeah, I think that's gonna shed water pretty well, but I think the least that we see that as a wall.
Yeah.
I mean, more, kind of like that roof in the last application. It's pitched so much that it almost is like looking at a flat surface. And with it being white, almost, and even though it's gray, it's gonna help a little bit. I don't think it'll look quite as. So keep the pitch as low as possible and extend.
Well, the pitch, the minimum is 1.
Correct.
Should we say 1? Are you comfortable with 1?
I believe so, yes.
That would
I
still,
mean,
that would
versus if
still
it's 3
hold
foot
the
now over
snow
16.
Correct.
at one.
It's more for shedding leaves and snow.
What if it were half that, instead of 3 feet difference between 12.8 and 9.8, let's say it's 18-inch drop? And I don't know what the pitch of that would be.
Still, I think, to keep it in that 1 to 1.5, 12.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll keep the pitch between 1 and 1.5,
Yes.
okay?
Any further questions? Anyone? I'd like to make a motion to approve application CA-24-035 with the conditions that the pitch remain at a 112 to 1.512 max, and that the frame overall is extended 12 to 14 inches past the left and right windows.
Well, as long as the post is outside that decorative brick that's shown.
Yes.
I'll second that.
Roll call, P. Lynch,
Yes.
David Kirkhoff,
Yes.
Rich Dowdy, yes. Roger White,
Yes.
Dr. Scott Kelly,
Yes.
Linda Bubby.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Cool.
Good luck.
Thank you.
The next agenda on, excuse me, the next application on tonight's agenda, CA 24036, address is 103 West Waterloo. The request this evening is for some exterior building modifications. Up on the screen is the site plan that was presented in November of 2022 from a prior property owner on what they wanted to do with the exterior parking lot to add in more efficiency and create additional spaces for this facility. This applicant is looking to do the same parking lot improvements, so this hasn't changed. When looking at the exterior of the building, you can see that some demolition has already occurred with that mansard roof already being torn off the front of the building. The applicant did this selective demo here to start to uncover some of the existing conditions for tonight's meeting. Part of that, we'll talk about it here in this application, is the brick that's on the front of the building is not, again, for a reminder, not real brick. It's actually a stucco that has been scored by hand and painted to make it look like brick. And so you can see that here where the block is above, that's unpainted, painted here on the left, and then with the brick ephes that's been applied to the south. The applicant this evening is looking to keep some of the themes from the 2022 approval while make some changes. They would like to keep the fiber cement front entry feature and the metal architectural canopy. The changes to this application is they would like to spray an ephes covering over the block here on the left-hand side, and then spray over the existing ephes that is scored like brick to make it a flat surface as well. When looking at the west elevation, again, similar treatments covering the entire block with the ephes. However, they're looking to put in 2 storefront doors, overhead canopies, add a storefront window system in the center, and then change the garage door to a glass architectural garage door. This rendering is a little misleading. It's missing the square patterns from the door that I'll cover here in the following slide. One of the things for the Commission's consideration this evening, again, is the ephes facade treatment. So everything in yellow is what the applicant is proposing. I added a little detail here to show you what ephes is. Again, it's basically a skim coat that is like stucco. The applicant is only proposing to do these 2 elevations, so not all 4 elevations, but just the 2 in the areas that are highlighted in yellow. The siding here in white would be a fiber cement siding material, and then the awnings would be metal. Applicant provided photographs of what that stucco brick looks like now. You can see damage underneath the windows by the entry doors, and then just a photograph here showing behind the stucco brick is just the block that has been covered. The applicant has also provided this photo here showing where they want to do the storefront entry. And the storefront glass used to be a cutout, what looks like a garage door was here at one point in time. They're looking to punch out that opening. Again, all of the block in this side would be sprayed with an ephes covering. When looking at some of the details here, the applicant provided information for the storefront doors, the storefront windows here in the center, and then the garage door. All these would be a dark bronze color, including the garage door where the sample photograph is shown in a raw aluminum. And then for the architectural canopies on the west elevation here, you can see the exposed bracketry, a 4-foot depth for the canopy with a 4-foot width. One of the things, just to point out, the rendering does show the canopies are a little off-center from the doors. Wasn't sure if that was on purpose or not, but something just to point out this evening for both the commission and the applicant. Any questions for me, I'd be glad to help answer. Applicant is here to discuss the project further.
Andrew, do we have any photographs or aerials of this to see the proximity to the other buildings behind it or beside it? Parking lot on the front and the side, it's just open in the back. That's the park back there, correct?
Correct.
So is there any fence or anything in between the property to the east there?
There is not.
There's not, so you can see the building
Yeah.
pretty well?
Well, I mean, their garage backs up to it.
Were you gonna spray that side?
With EFS? No.
It's
So
gonna be the
originally,
front and the parking lot side.
right. So originally, when it was approved, previous owners were just going to paint it. So then, I'm using the same drawings, the same architect, engineer, everything. Once we met out on site with the general contractor, there, because, right there, that's a good picture, Andrew. See how that, like, stair steps up? They're just saying if I paint that brick, it's going to look like that from now on. They can't. So the black guy, Canal, recommended this EFS, which, to be honest with you, I didn't really think it was an issue, just because, Dairy Queen across the street, the whole building's EFS. I think it's 20 East Waterloo, or West Waterloo's EFS, but anyway, he said that would be the way to go to eliminate it. Then on top of that, the brick, I thought the brick was the, like, what is that called? The half-inch thick brick that
The
sticks
veneer
on?
Here.
Yeah, it's not even that, they've made it. The previous owner actually was a construction company, is one that also informed me. He
Right.
said, no, we actually made that brick. So the original plan was to patch that brick with some of the pieces cut out from where we're creating the windows. Well, once we dug into it, that's not possible. So obviously, I'm putting a lot of money into it. I didn't want, the front left block, then the fiberboard, then that brick in the middle, then down the side. While I'm doing it, I just wanted it right, and that's what they had recommended, is the EFS. It's EFS stucco, it's kind of the same thing, except with the EFS, it's more flexible, it's colored, it doesn't, it's more durable, lasts longer, so.
So in the elevation that has the stair step where the garage
Is right where that middle
Right.
storefront is.
and they can cover that over with EFS, and you won't even tell that it's
Correct.
there.
Yeah, same thing with the front brick. That front brick is actually not being removed, it's being, I don't know how they do it.
They're just gonna go over it.
Yeah. It'll be a smooth or not smooth, it'll have a texture to it, but you will not see that brick outline, which is the problem, And then it will also match, like you were standing on Waterloo on the left side, that concrete block there. So originally, they were just going to paint that. They were still doing the storefront. You guys had approved it a couple years ago. They were just going to paint it. Well, obviously it's costing me more money. I just don't want to just paint it. I think it would look better. The only reason I'm not doing down on the side, because that's where all the utilities, gas meter, electric meters, so plus the additional cost. And that's what I was telling Andrew, for us to do that front facade and down basically the west side is about a $27,000 adder, just for the EFS. So,
I just wanted to sill up under the windows.
So you're talking where the soldier bricks are?
Yeah.
Those actually come out.
Okay.
Honestly, they're out right now. Andrew, you could, on that one right there, if you back up one, see that bottom right picture? That's actually, the yellow is where the EFS will be. Those brick soldiers are gone.
Okay.
Those windows are a little bigger than the existing.
Yeah,
building.
but the actual windows, which you could verify, that's the actual size that was there to begin with. There was a lintel for some reason underneath of it. Same with that brick.
Will that be exposed, the lintels that are there? Or is it just like?
Well, when I say lintel, I mean a piece of metal.
All right, not
Yeah.
now.
Not the original.
Hiding behind.
See on that north elevation, see how you have the yellow, the EFS only goes down to what, 8 inches above the
Yeah,
sidewalk?
for some reason, it's all going to be painted the same color, but with EFS, and I don't know this, but you'll notice on that east elevation where the doors are, for some reason, they have to keep a barrier between it and the ground level.
I mean, I'm just looking at this picture here,
Right.
where this just all looks like, I'm just wondering what will be exposed if they only take EFS down
I think
to
it's 6
actually 3
inches.
courses above grade, or above the sidewalk.
some way they have to repair it. I can't answer that, to be
Okay.
honest with you.
Joe, you brought up Dairy Queen. What was the other location you said?
20 East Waterloo. Well, to be honest with you, there's actually 8 total places downtown that has EFS/stucco commercial buildings,
20, is that,
and 5
Dr. Quinlan's
are the
building?
exact same product. No, 20 West Waterloo is Waterloo 1.
That's Bob and Tom's.
Yeah, the new building.
Yeah.
It was just, that's why I was like, I should be fine. And I'm fine with the brick, well, not really, fine with the block. I'm doing all this work, and I'm like, that's kind of where you're going to be pulling in. So I thought, well,
I just don't know what the
Upgrade.
block will look like if you just paint it.
it
Is-
won't look good. They're
Yeah.
the ones telling me. So I went back to the architect.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Dave. I went back to the architect and asked them, and they said, no, it's probably the best way to fix it. Because that's, like, right there's that, basically the middle storefront, and it's,
Is that the worst part of it there, just where it's the stair stepping, where it's pushing out a little bit?
not really. I mean,
The whole wall kind of look like that?
yeah. To be honest, that's the worst side. Even the other side is, the east side is a little bit better, but I don't know if it's because there's no openings there or. Then,
Joe, I've noticed that, you know, you're retaining a lot of the things that were approved, previously approved, and we had a optional proposed monument signage. Are you going to continue that?
yes, which I'm assuming once I get my sign design done, I'll have to bring that back anyway, but
Okay.
the only thing with that, and I think that, well, it is on the other side of drawings that were submitted, but that dumpster pad, we're gonna move to the corner where it's actually at now and make it a single dumpster pad, just because there's not, I mean,
Not block that garage door.
right. And put it in the corner because it's currently there now. So, or that's where the dumpster pad is now.
Is that all enclosed? Or is it just open?
The plan will have it enclosed. It's not enclosed now.
All right, I see it. Thank you, Andy.
Dave, you want me to go to this slide?
Yeah, on the east elevation, see how it looks like it's broken up into 8x8 squares?
Yeah, that's just
Is
the,
that not going to happen?
no. It's going to be, I mean, it'll have expansion lines in it like
Right.
it has to, but no, that will not be little squares like that.
And
I'm not sure
then
why
the
that,
horizontal boards where it says, on this, it says fiber cement,
it's hardy plank.
so that's still going to stay like
Yeah,
that?
so
You're
really,
just doing an application to the block and the
pretty
brick.
much. The block, long story
Right.
short, I purchased a building from Bob and Todd. This was all approved, with the exception of the awnings and the storefronts. I submitted it to Andrew. Andrew said, this EFS, we got to get it approved.
Okay.
Which, great. So those 3 items, another outstanding item, which I was going to bring up, but, so those 3 items, as far as the, like, front structural, that facade and stuff, that's as is. I'm not really, I'm keeping it the way Bob and Todd, even the colors. We had picked out some different colors in the office, and I sent it over to Andrew, and he sent it back in about a half an hour and said it wouldn't work. So we're staying with the original colors that have already been approved, which are these colors
So
here.
that east elevation was approved, correct, Andrew?
With the,
The colors were, yes.
Okay. I mean, what about the canopy over the doors?
That was part of the prior approval.
Okay, that was approved.
and the hardy
Okay.
plank.
Even the canopy on the west elevation,
These were not. Everything on this side is all new.
those are pretty similar to what's on the new Napa building.
They're identical,
Okay,
100%.
And I'm assuming they're gonna be centered.
Okay, so I said the same thing, but the architect and the designer both told me, no, you want them offset like that. I'm serious, because they say you could put the address like A on the left side.
That or
A sign.
lighting as well.
Have
Yeah.
you figured out the lighting yet?
I'm working on it.
And I think if they're offset with lighting in there.
You probably know
balance
somebody
it.
that can install it.
Exactly, I'm trying to find someone. Good luck. But that's exactly what they told me, the address or, suite number that's where it would go. So after,
Yeah, I mean, the
Listen
doors
to
have
him.
to have some type of light on them, whether it's a downlight in that canopy area.
but
Sometimes
Pete,
these architects have some weird ideas, you know?
smarter than I am. But, so that canopy over the front door and that storefront and stuff, that was all okay. It was just those to the right. And then there's that existing garage door there, but it's a metal garage door, and I want it to match the other storefront. Basically, I want storefronts to match, and that's, when the storefront company sent me back the cut sheets and submittals, that's what, they came back with those horizontal. I'm like, well, that doesn't look very good, but it's more of what the bottom right corner is. Another thing, while we're on this page where you guys can see, we removed that rooftop unit that was on the roof, that large rooftop unit, and we're going with 3, they're almost residential type condensers. So you won't see them from the road, you won't even see them from the parking lot. Right now, they're actually setting on the back part of the addition, and you can kind of see them, but that roof's even higher too, so they're gonna go on the east side, so you won't be able to see them at all. And then
Kind of curious what that transition on the northeast corner is gonna look like with this going around the corner to block.
all down the side,
The street left side there,
yeah.
where it's darker gray, how they make that transition going around the corner, because you're,
Well, it'll all be the same color. It's all gonna be painted.
right, I'm just, like I said, that
Joe,
that
one-
ephes is gonna build out a little bit. Almost think they need to add a piece of.
Well, what if they sprayed it like a foot or 2 feet around the corner?
Like a return down that
Like a
east side.
return? But I don't know what that would look like.
Yeah, I don't know.
Joe, one of the things I just noticed on this drawing, I don't know if it was ever discussed in the last time this went through, but the fiber cement on this feature is taller than
Correct.
the wall, adding a little parapet. Are you still planning on adding that additional height to it?
Oh, yeah, because that's gonna hide the condensers.
Okay.
So, yeah, that was approved in prior application.
I don't know if it was ever discussed, that being raised a little. I just noticed it on this slide right here, so.
And they did that because that back, where that, where the garage door is, that was an addition put in the
Right.
early 80s. I'm not
It's
sure.
to match
exactly.
the height.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, with things being the same color, I don't think the transition is going to
No, I think it's just wondering about the return, but then when I saw that picture, you don't want to return it just a little bit. Right. You don't want to get all the way. Andrew, did that Dairy Queen come before us? And if that's not too,
No, that was prior to the preservation district boundaries.
it was 2000 and it was 9 years ago.
I think it's a definite improvement. I'm not a big Evis fan myself. I'm not sure how to cover that up with this, the block looks pretty bad.
Right.
Are there any other options that you would consider doing in the front where the brick area is that?
Not, obviously I've
That's
hired.
adding another element into it as well.
Right,
so.
that was kind of, the ephes made it more uniform. We've got the hardy plank, the aluminum, the awnings, and the ephes would tie everything together down the side and across the front. I just think it's a big upgrade over paint, and,
I know they put expansion joints in those and those joints seem to be all over the place. Do you have any idea what the plan is? I know it's not gonna be those tight 8-inch grids that we see here. but-
No, I think they're just vertical expansion joints, probably
Probably
4 to
horizontal.
5 foot on center.
I think they'll be just vertical.
I can't answer that.
What if they were to cut them into squares or rectangles or
Well,
something?
they usually do, so I don't know.
I mean,
I feel like we don't.
I'm sure they'll be horizontal. I just don't want to tell you guys, yeah, they're going to be 3 by 3 or whatever. It just, I will tell you, it's going to be exactly what Waterloo 1 is. I mean, it's the same.
They made those actually look like stone, is what we're talking about, correct?
No,
Or those?
it's straight.
That's all-
On the
Fact-
first floor is stone.
So was this just in between the windows?
In between the windows in the front, and the whole rear elevation
More like
is,
panel work? Looks
But it's-
like panels.
I think it's broken down into 2 different colors, so that each panel's a different color.
I think it's a big improvement on this building.
Mhm.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve application CA-24-036 as stated.
I'll second that.
Roll call, Pete Lynch,
Yes?
David Crewcraft,
Yes.
Rich Dudley, yes. Roger White,
Yes.
Dr. Scott Kelly,
Yes.
Linda Bovee.
Yes,
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
thank you.
Good luck with that.
Thanks, Joe.
Next application, CA 24037, address is 182 Washington Street. The request this evening is for a new garage door on the front of the building. This residential home was constructed on 1939. This property has not yet been before the Landmarks Commission since it was added to the district in 2003. The applicant is requesting approval to replace the existing 16-panel wooden garage door with a new 16-panel steel garage door. The applicant notes that they would like to keep just the 16-panel steel without the addition of the glass in the top panel. However, if the commission feels the glass is necessary, there is an option to have those longer panels also be same dimension for the glazing. The finish would be white, and the applicant has provided here information on the model number and system for the garage they're requesting.
Is the applicant present? Would you mind standing up to the podium, please, and sign in for us? We didn't provide.
Did Joe steal the pen?
Probably did.
Joe wants to-
Gotta spend it all on the ethos.
Andrew, it looks like panel for panel, it's like for like in that respect, correct?
Yeah, the big difference, I think, between the two is, this panel would have like the relief border around it, but the actual panel work is still flat, it's just it'll match the man door, I think, in terms of how that panel relief looks, but it's not gonna be as recessed as the wooden door it's there.
Okay.
And this is a metal door that you want to replace? Or you
It's-
want a new metal?
It's a
door?
rotting wood door that I want to
Right.
replace with steel, yes.
Is the steel, is it just, is it backed up with anything?
Yeah, it's an insulated.
Okay, it's insulated, okay.
I think I put the,
I know you've got it picked out in white, is that white, I'm sure your door now is matching the colors of the house, does it match pretty close?
just, as soon as it gets dirty, it'll match really well.
And you mentioned that you prefer not having the windows.
I prefer not to have the windows. It seems a lot,
I mean, you're-
anybody that's gotten a new garage door up and down the block in the past 3 years since I've been there, they all have the windows, but
I mean,
I don't need
how
anyone
long have
looking
you
at
lived there?
Almost 4 years.
Almost 4, so you're used to not having windows in it.
I've never actually parked in the garage because you can't even tell. I'm just afraid one day it's going to go and I'm going to have to get out and I won't be able to get out. So I've never, I love to park in the garage, but it scares me. I'm not that scared, but that's my luck, that I would need to get out.
From a security standpoint, it's better to not have those windows, but from the interior visibility, it's good.
To be honest with you, over on the left-hand side, inside the fence here, there's a full window.
Okay.
So
So,
you have some light in there. It's more of a like-for-like exchange minus the steel door.
I'm good with it.
I'll make a motion to approve application CA-24-037 as stated.
I'd like to second that motion.
Roll call, Linda Bobby,
Yes.
Dr. Scott Kelly,
Yes.
Roger White,
Yes.
Rich Dobda, yes. David Craycraft?
Yes.
Pete Lynch.
Yes.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Next application, CA 24038. Address is 92 East Waterloo Street. The request this evening is for a new entry walk, and then also to add a split face block covering on the front patio. I apologize, when I was printing the packets, we ran out of ink, so I have everything in black and white, but none of the photos. The next application is no photos, it's just the staff work, because we were really running out of ink. So I did my best to put information on the presentation tonight for you all. Mr. John came before you guys as an old new business item back at his last approval here last July to talk about this front porch. He's here this evening to get formal approval for the replacement. Part of the work would be to remove these two brick entry features walking up the front porch. With that, they'd be pouring new steps, new lead walks, a new walk from the front door to the garage side of the home. As previously discussed, the commission recommended having two handrails matching on either side. I think that's part of what he has in the comment section of his request this evening. As part of that, you're looking to pour a new concrete slab on the front porch and then do a face block to cover the existing damaged block that is underneath the front porch itself. The prior discussion was about block around the entirety of the home. The focus this evening is only under the front porch itself. Any questions, I'd be glad to help answer from the commission.
Andrew, just reading through some of your questions here, I saw I apologize for not getting to the answer perhaps, but the depth of the steps interfering with the current location of the sidewalk that wraps around. Everything's going to end up in the same spot that it is now?
That's my understanding. I asked the contractor that same question, and it may come out just a little bit further, the steps. I don't know if it wouldn't be quite as steep or what he has in mind there, but he assured me it wouldn't interfere with the sidewalks.
And those new steps then are going to be will they be just about the full width between
Yes.
the yellow columns?
Where the brick goes out, that it'll be filled in with steps.
Okay, so the outside of the
Exactly.
current walls, the steps will go all the way.
Yes, as you're looking at the photo here, that opening will be filled. I mean, steps will be between the two pillars, basically, going up.
That's that 7 foot 8 inches we're looking at here, I think. And there will be railings coming down on both sides?
Yes.
Are they in the same likeness?
It would be the same as that railing now. In fact, I plan to reuse that railing, just get another one just like it. That railing's only been on there for 4 or 5 years.
Andrew, that front view coming out to the front sidewalk there, there's no retaining walls or anything in those flower beds, just going to be straight sidewalk?
Right, what's happening, pardon my voice, what's happening on that sidewalk is just starting to deteriorate. I figure if we're gonna do the pad and all that, we might as well just go ahead and renew it all. It'd be exactly the same width.
So what's the plan as it now gets wider in the back? Are you,
When you say in the back, towards the steps?
yeah, once you take those two windows out, the stairs are gonna get wider than your current sidewalk. Do you have a plan for how that's gonna get wider as it goes back, or are you gonna take that width all the way out and remove some of your plants there?
Some of the plants may come out, and that's not a problem. But it's just, again, the steps will come down to meet the sidewalk. The sidewalk going around the side, we're planning to replace that as well. And I believe right now what he's planning to do is just blend it all in.
Okay, so that front is what I'm referring to. It looks like we're 7 foot 8 inches wide. It's gonna stay that same all the way from the house all the way out.
Yeah, I'm not trying to skinny something down or narrow or widen it out, just square it off.
And this project is just replacing the sidewalks?
Oh, no.
Or we're talking
The
about
concrete
slab.
pad, the porch.
Yeah.
Porch is a concrete pad, and it's cracked, it
I
was
remember
cracked
when
when
you
you
were here
bought
the
the
last
house.
time, and it was just
Yeah.
deteriorating.
Yeah, and it's getting to a point, it's still safe, but it's time to do something. Well, my big problem is trying to find block, because the block is deteriorating as well. I'm trying to find block that will match that, and I'm not having any luck. Last time you mentioned, there's a facade that I could put on, it's 2 inches thick. The only one I find is at Menards, and it's plain. There's no,
No rock face to it.
nothing, which I can do that all the way around. That is not part of what I have in a quote here.
Are you trying to replace just a few block, or are you trying to do all the way across the front?
Whatever's damaged is what I'd like to do. And it, like, what I have in front of you right now does not include the replacement of anything except, there's a couple blocks that are really bad, that just need to be replaced. Which brings up another question, is there some process out there that I can put on that block, and it's going around the house, to preserve it, so it doesn't keep,
Once is it spalding, it's starting to peel away?
yeah. And it's just the front of it, it's the block itself still seems to be solid. I don't have any leaks in the basement or any problems like that. It just, the front's falling apart.
Hey, maybe EFS.
You made that comment. I had not heard about that stuff before, so I made a note to check on it.
So this same block goes all the way around?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I agree, you're gonna have a hard time finding a stone that's patinaed in the same color.
I can't even find the same pattern. The color wouldn't be a big deal. I'd just come in and say, can I paint it or something? I can't even find that pattern. And I've talked to several contractors, and they don't even want to touch it. They don't want to mess with it.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be hard to tie it in. As far as the concrete pad on the porch, I'm assuming they're gonna have to remove your railings and put them back in?
Yeah. Well, no. You're talking about the wood?
Correct.
No. The pillars or posts, whatever you want to call them, are actually on squares, and the pour on the concrete has gone around that, but you can actually look at it and see where they're
That's just
blocked
the
off.
piers, what about the railing itself? Is the concrete's coming underneath the railing?
No one said it would be a problem to get that out. It's not that thick. As far as the railing itself is only, what,
Yeah, I was
6
wondering when they-
8 inches?
When they come in there to re-pour it, that's difficult to do. If they do have to remove the rails, just need to make sure they get put back in exactly how
Oh,
they
yeah.
come out.
If they have to remove it, I'm going to have a mess on my hands. That's old wood.
Yeah, this is hard.
You might check with them, because I don't know how they pour it without.
Well, I've had 3 contractors give me quotes, and none of them said that'd be a problem. So,
What's interesting with the squares is they can pour around the squares.
Yeah, but I don't know how they
Expansions,
get up
right?
underneath that wood.
Yeah, some of them are pretty good.
on a trial, would reach under, so, I don't,
Maybe do that from the outside.
you know, or from both sides, I don't know. I'm not a concrete person.
Do you ever get water on that porch?
All the time, it's, heavy rain and that sort of thing.
I mean, I'm just wondering when the water gets on the porch and comes back down, does it stop at the rail, the wood rail? Or does it work its way under?
Well, there's a clearance underneath of it.
Small gap.
Yeah,
I mean, right there, it just, I mean, the picture I'm looking at doesn't,
Yeah, it looks like it's right up against it. Yeah.
Right here.
right there, I see, okay.
Okay, I think if they do have to modify it, it's something you might want to leave a small gap in the bottom, and at least some weep holes there. I'm a little concerned about the block. I'd like to have a discussion about
You and me both.
Yeah. So when it goes, wraps around the side, can we pan out there, Andrew? Is it in line with the rest of the house, or is there a slight bump out when it rounds the front corner? It's all just straight?
Under the porch, the porch comes out over the block,
Okay.
so that can be worked with. Now, when you get to the rest of the house, it's smooth. And that's where a problem comes in, because we had talked about a facade of some sort, but it'll work on the porch, there's room, but it won't work on the rest of the house.
Just almost feeling like across the front, if you can find a product that's rock face that's close, it's gonna look better to redo the front rather than to piece in just a couple blocks there. Not necessarily wrapping the sides, but at least that front facade. Kind of concerned about what that's gonna look like with just a few, because it's.
We don't have a
color's
close-up.
never gonna match.
we don't have a close-up picture of the corner, do we?
No.
It's a pretty natural concrete looking color.
Mm-hmm.
They do make some that are close, but they're probably darker. Is that what you're finding?
I haven't been worried about the color at all. I've been worried about something that looks the same. I figure the color I can work with.
I just hope the contractor knows that that block is fragile and not, just be real careful with it. You don't want to, the forms to bring out this, whatever, the cantilever, or whatever you want to call it, whether it's 1.5 inches, you know what I mean, as it hangs over the block. I guess as long as they don't nail into the block for forms.
No,
How many would you say need replaced across the front there?
I'd like to replace them all, but that's probably a half a dozen.
Yeah, I think with the concrete being taken out.
And it's actually, not to interrupt you, but it's more on this side, on the east side. That's where the main damage is, on the blocks.
Around the corner?
Looking at this photo, it'd be on the right-hand side.
Okay. So you've got to do more than just across the front. How far back? About just to the end of the porch?
Yeah,
It's likely the water damage from getting on the porch and rolling
but that
under.
could well be, sure.
Yeah, like I said, I think I'm kind of concerned at what it's going to look like just to patch those in. When you're taking that concrete out above, it's an opportune time to.
I would like to have had the whole
replace
thing
those
at one time,
blocks.
but I haven't been able to find anybody to do it. I'll repeat what I said the last time I was here. If you know any good block people, let me know.
They're getting hard to find.
I had to tell you, it's too small a job, they don't want to mess with it.
I have seen a fair amount of, I think it's difficult to get in and replace them one at a time.
Mhm.
I think if you talk to somebody about, hey, let's replace the block just below grade, looks like 3 blocks high max, and then wrap the corners as far as you need to. I think you'd have a lot more people interested in the job rather than trying to replace individual blocks.
Oh, I've been trying to get them to do the whole, everything that's under the porch, just replace it all.
Well, you'd
And they don't want to touch it.
take the slab off, you'd probably take the rails off, and just start leave the post where they're at, just so they can get to the block.
Right. Like I said, it's an opportune time to do it.
Oh, yeah.
When the concrete's off, otherwise it's much more difficult to repair. I just don't like the idea of approving just individual blocks. I think it's going to look pretty patchy.
And I share that concern.
Well, there's definitely some split face block out there. There's a lot of different, Snyder here makes a lot of their own block. Just looking around, doubt you're gonna find the color you're looking for. You're gonna probably have to go with something that's as close as possible, but I think that'd be your best option to just have them replace it. Your footer's probably fine, the block below grade may or may not be good, but it looks like 3 layers there.
Well, below grade, you get into poured wall.
It's poured wall just below grade, so you're really only looking at 3
Yeah.
block high.
Exactly.
Yeah, my recommendation here would be to redo that across the front, and if you don't need to do the left side, then, I wouldn't spend any more money than you have to there, but if it's bad around the right side,
Have you looked at having just the whole porch poured and not be blocked?
As far as just replacing the porch itself?
Yeah, just have all the block just be a form, and they just pour it all,
A poured wall.
a poured wall.
No, that's a good idea, though.
I mean, if you're having a hard time finding block people, then you have the concrete guy that can do the slab. I don't know if there's any huge issues with it being just a poured system, because they could put a stamp on it or no stamp on it and make it look like whatever you want.
I love it. I never even thought about it.
that kind of stamped brick form in the historic or preservation district.
No, we haven't. Typically, if it's covered, it's just like a thin brick that's applied. I don't think any of the projects you've done, Dave, it's all just been exposed block.
Right, yeah.
I think you could do a poured form if it was painted, and it just didn't look like poured concrete.
Mhm.
That would be an option, so you just wrap the corners and stop it at the porch with a definitive line.
I just know that gives you more people to poke, pick their brain about doing something different if you're having a hard
Okay.
time matching.
My foundation walls are poured concrete, but it looks like block on the outside because they scored it to look like block.
Concrete block.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then something like that would be acceptable.
I mean, I don't think it has to be exactly like that block, as long as it looks the same in color and it looks like a block. Because I don't know if you can pour,
A rock face.
yeah.
No, there's a big difference though, what a flat, we just looked at Joe Abbott's flat block wall as opposed to a rock face wall. It's, rock face isn't rock, but it does have a
right.
nice appeal to it, and the whole house is done that way. So
But you might
rather
get-
than doing block, I think if you did a poured brick and painted the brick a similar color would be an option, or just replace the rock face block back to the same point on each side. You're gonna see it from the corner, that 2 sides of this house are
Right.
pretty well exposed.
Greg, do you want to run the poured option by
That'd be
your
fine.
contractor and then come back next month to see what their recommendations were on that?
I appreciate that, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So you wanna just table this?
That or, Greg, do you want it tabled, or do you at least get started on your lead walks and stuff until then?
It'll all be done at one
I
time.
think
Okay.
you'd get a better price if it was one big.
Yeah.
I agree.
So, no, that's fine.
Okay,
I appreciate it, folks.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion for that, please?
I make a motion that we table application CA-24-038.
Second.
Next meeting. Roll call, please.
P. Lynch,
Yes.
Chris Dodd, yes. David Kirkhope.
Yes.
Roger White,
Yes.
Dr. Scott Kelly,
Yes.
Linda Bowden.
Yes.
Thank you, folks, appreciate it. Have a good day.
Thank you.
I guess I'll see you next month.
Finally, last application on tonight's agenda, CA 24039, 23 West Mound Street. The request this evening is 2 parts, new asphalt shingles on the 1-story addition to the rear and the detached garage, and also new trim paint color. Subject property here, constructor on 1875. It's located on the West Mound Street Historic District. It's on the National Register. The applicant is requesting approval to replace these 2 aged 3-tab red toned asphalt shingles with a new dimensional certainteed asphalt shingle. Color up on the screen has been provided. Additionally, with the revamp on these 2 roofs, the applicant's looking to paint all of the trim for the paint, all of the trim paint on the gutters, fascia, and soffit.
In windows.
In the window trim, that is currently the bright white to the Sherwin-Williams Greek Villa white. It's more of a subdued yellow, beigey white.
So all the paint will be that Greek villa?
Yeah,
Villa?
soffit fascia gutters, window trim. Where it is wood window trim. Some of the windows are already white, like on that front bump out and the screen door.
So anything, outside corners are all gonna stay the siding color?
Yes.
Right. What is that front roof there? Is that?
That's a metal roof.
that's
Yeah,
metal?
standing seam.
Metal and slate up top?
No,
Metal's
all
all-
standing
metal
seam up top.
Front
and,
tilt.
yeah.
So we're just talking these back, the garage and the rear addition roof?
Yep.
I noticed in these photos that there's, on your deck, that there's railings missing. Is that just gonna be replaced?
Eventually, yeah. They
Like
were
for-
literally like falling off.
Like for?
Yeah, it'd be exactly.
Same, okay.
Yeah, like everyone else in Canal, everything's rotten, so we're dealing with it step by step.
Yeah.
And the doors, the door onto the exterior doors are all going to remain the same color?
Yep.
Now, I think that brown door might not be that color. I think I'm gonna do it that same white color. We're just trying to, again, like make everything more uniform. So
We
you see
talking about the
underneath
door?
the windows, it's like a brownish, I don't even, taupey color. Like, I hate that, and so that is gonna be changed to that Greek villa.
Just the wood around the window, you're keeping all the sills and headers stone, correct?
I don't know what a lot of that stuff you're saying means.
Yeah, the limestone's gonna stay.
Okay.
Yeah. We're not-
None of those have been painted?
Correct. Are we trying to paint the limestone?
I do, what is the limestone?
It's the stone above the window.
Yes, that is being painted. That is actually
Okay.
currently chipping, and
Okay.
so it's gonna be scraped and repainted.
It
yeah.
is painted now.
It is currently painted.
Okay, that's what I couldn't
Yes.
tell.
Okay.
Is it white? It's just dirty white?
No, it's
not-
like cream.
Is it okay?
Yeah, it's like that color.
It's been made.
So those will be painted Greek villa?
Great villa. Yep.
Do we have a sample of that color?
It's right there.
It's right there.
Okay. Well, it's not bad for the stone.
Mm-mm.
It's not a natural stone. I don't see any issues with this.
Any further questions?
Would your screen door be painted the same, this one right here?
Honestly, I'm gonna replace it. It's rotten too.
Because it's wood, I mean, but we can paint it that same color.
So that'll need to come, replacement that'll need to come back here when you're ready.
Just file first next
We'll try to
time.
get you on the,
You know what? I'm gonna go find the exact same door. I couldn't love that door more to not ever have to come back here again. Love you guys, but
Now, if you tell us you will replace it like for like,
Is the door rotten? Is that what you said?
yeah, the screen is falling apart. Yeah, I mean,
I don't know necessarily that I'm,
Do you want a screen door back in its
no.
place?
You know what? I don't even need a screen door.
I was like, you can just take it off if you
Yep.
don't.
no storm door replacement or anything though, just get rid of it.
What? Yes. What would you like? It doesn't
Take it
matter.
off. If you take it off, it's fine. If you want
Right.
to put
Right.
something
If we
back
don't
on.
replace it like for like, heard.
Good question there.
I'll make a motion to approve application CA-24-039 as stated.
I'll second.
roll call, Linda Bovee,
Yes.
Dr. Scott Kelly,
Yes.
Roger White,
Yes.
Rich Dobby, yes, David Kirkhead.
Yes.
Pete Lynch.
Yes. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Here for the fence last time. For the fence? That same house for the fence? They just took it out, right?
Yeah, they just took it out.
In terms of old new business, I don't really have much to report on this evening. Can't think of anything, unless you guys have anything for me.
I had one question. On the bank building that has been redone, Did we approve the signage on the windows? Because I don't remember doing that.
So the window decals, I did an administrative sign permit for that. With those being window decals, there's nothing in the Old Town guidelines that goes over those approvals. So those have been administrative only in the
They're
past.
very pretty,
I like it. It's sharp.
like the gold.
I had a question on that building too. I probably should know this, but the color difference when it wraps the sides, did we ever talk about that? Did it stay the same? Or?
They kept the same color on the sides as what was on the front.
You think that would look better if that was painted to match the front? Obviously, I overlooked. My wife was quick to point that out the other day. Why is
Yeah,
this, why is
yeah,
this
they
this
didn't
color?
change the side colors of the painted brick.
Okay.
Did, I was just at Johnson's the other day and I was looking across the street, did Shaw, like, Jewelers update their facade at all? Like, I was just sitting, I'm like, did they just paint that top above their awning bright green?
No, it's always been green. I had someone ask me that about a year ago.
I just was sitting there and like, my whole family and I were like, something looks different, and I was just wondering.
So Andrew, when they do the, take out all the brick underneath the traffic light, then they're going to do the other two sidewalks at Harvest Moon and the other place?
Yes, that'll be following, I believe, Blues and Riverfest. Either that or Labor Day, one of the two.
Are they paving that part of the street?
Yes.
See?
I can't remember if it's either after Blues or Riverfest this weekend or Labor Day.
I think it's Labor Day is what they said.
After Labor Day, the intersection will be closed for the following 2 weeks.
And it'll be blacktop.
Correct, except for the crosswalks.
Did they take your,
Okay.
your recommendation of the large CW in the center?
There's been no decisions made as far as I'm aware.
I saw a picture, a rendering with a large CW in there.
There's
Give me
been
an idea.
there's been no decisions
Like the
made
ones
as
here.
far as I'm aware.
It's kind of cool, like in the brick.
In the center, right underneath the traffic light.
The last I heard was they were looking at, Pete, if you're familiar with downtown Lancaster, the thermoplastic Lancaster logo in the middle of their downtown.
Yeah.
Something like that for downtown here. A big sticker, basically, that gets applied, but there's been no decisions made as of yet, so.
Go ahead.
Oh, this is something different though. And this is not about Old Town or preservation, but they're doing the work there on Gender Road, and they talked about something with the overpass there. Are they putting Canal Winchester as the signage there? What's happening with that?
We can talk about those details after the meeting.
Oh, I thought we were after the meeting.
When we're adjourned, we can talk about things outside of.
Okay.
I wanted to say one thing when we're still talking about this. Part of my thinking about loose rail there was the Johnson's building actually popped up because I was thinking of that building as an industrial building always. And that particular building where Johnson's is, that was a like a repair shop or a gas station.
It was a Snuggle gas station.
So it was always industrial prior to being used as a commercial. So I kind of thought the precedent that we set with that structure, as much as I'm not crazy about it, that's another building that I can see them coming and saying, hey, we want to cover this up, which is also right in the smack of things.
But it could be removed.
I think it's fitting on that structure, because of its a little more industrial look as opposed to some of the others, but it's kind of one of the ones that I thought that might future pop up. But Andrew doesn't like it much, so maybe not.
I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting. It's 8:34.
Are you seconding that, Dave?
Oh, yes, I am.
Yeah,
All right.
Roll call, Pete Lynch,
Yes.
David Kirker.
Yes.
Rich Stubbs, yes. Roger White.
yes.
Dr. Scott Kelly.
Yes.
Linda Bovee.
Yes.